Welcome to Fast Track Gains. I'm here to help you accelerate your gains. This is the fourth episode of my fourth series, 10 Fitness Commandments, and the fourth commandment is called 4 Pillars. As there's too much information to be contained in one episode, this commandment will be split into 2 episodes. This will be part 1 of the 4 pillars. When it comes to weight training, there are almost infinite exercise selections you can choose from. Compound movements versus isolation exercises, bilateral movement versus unilateral movement, and of course, perhaps the most important variable, free weights versus cables versus machines. And in case you want to know more about this most important variable, this is the link for the whole series, free weights versus cables versus machines. Go ahead and watch it. It is the best analysis on this topic on the whole internet, guaranteed. But really, when it comes to weight training, the only limitation of exercise selection is your imagination. However, just because there are infinite selections does not mean that every exercise is equally important. Some exercises are clearly much more important and much more foundational than others. These exercises are almost all the time free weight compound exercises, as they help everyone build a solid foundation to progress their weight training journey. The classic example is the traditional big 3, squat, bench, and deadlift, which are also the standard competition lifts for the sport, powerlifting. While there are many similarities between powerlifting and bodybuilding, particularly at the beginner phase, I do think it is quite inappropriate to strictly apply powerlifting standards in the bodybuilding context. There should be better exercise alternatives to not only avoid the drawback of the competition lifts, but also help you more in terms of physique development. But before I talk about these alternatives, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. It takes less than a second, costs you nothing, and will help me a great deal in delivering the most efficient muscle building knowledge to the whole world. I really appreciate your support. Now, back to my video. Why should there be better exercise alternatives to replace the traditional big 3? To be able to answer this question, we first must examine all the drawbacks of the big 3. There is no doubt that the big 3 are some of the most glorious lifts out of the whole weight training realm. But equally, the drawbacks attached to them are also some of the most significant ones. Number 1, highest risk of injury. Out of the big 3, we frequently see death cases from bench press and back squat. The only movement that does not frequently cause death is deadlift. Still, there are countless lower back injuries from deadlifting and bound to be countless injuries from bench pressing and back squat. Are you willing to take the risk? I definitely am not. Number 2, highest fatigue accumulation. This is closely tied to the first point. Although the big 3 provide the highest growth stimulus, they also generate the highest fatigue. And when you are in high fatigue state, it is much easier to get injured. Number 3, joint issues. Bench press is infamous for causing shoulder pains. Back squat is infamous for causing knee pains. Deadlift is notorious for causing lower back pains. If you're always troubled by joint issues, there's no way you can train hard consistently. And if you don't know how much your connective tissue means to you, please check out this previous episode, Achilles heel, the connective tissue part 1, as they're generally the biggest resistance to hold you back from getting jacked. Number 4, muscle imbalance issues. Most people have a serious degree of muscle imbalances when they first start training, meaning their anterior muscles like chest, front delts, and their quads are already way stronger than their posterior muscles like traps, rear delts, lats, glutes, and hamstrings. And out of the big 3, bench press and squats are heavily anterior muscle focused. Training them frequently will only exacerbate the problem of muscle imbalance. And while deadlift is more posterior chain driven, it has many other problems, and your deadlift training volume is never going to be enough to even out the imbalance caused by bench press and back squat. This point might be the biggest hit against the big three. Now, we have seen the ugly behind the glory. It is time for me to introduce my recommended alternatives. In my opinion, there are 4 exercises which I call them the 4 pillars that are almost as fundamental as the big three, but are much better choices than the big three in the bodybuilding context. And you can do all these 4 exercises without fancy machines. This episode will cover the first 2 exercises, and the next episode will cover the other 2 and the upgrade of my own thoughts. Number 1, the pull-up. This is definitely the number 1 bodybuilding exercise for you, particularly if you're a beginner. Nothing means more bodybuilding other than somebody walks up on stage and flares out his wide lats. 2023 Mr. Olympia Derek Lunsford might be the best example of that. Some people would even argue that his lats have almost single-handedly helped him win the Mr. Olympia title. Without a doubt, latissimus dorsi is one of the most quintessential muscles in bodybuilding. And what is the best exercise to develop your lats? You already knew the answer when you were a little boy, right? It is such a simple exercise, but why do you keep shying away from it? Because pull-ups are hard. For most people, they cannot even perform one bodyweight pull-up. And it takes time, dedication, and progression for most people to go from 0 to their first pull-up. And I can still vividly remember the whole set of resistance bands I have bought 3 years ago for my pull-up training. Just like most people, I couldn't do even one bodyweight pull-up at the very beginning. I had to go from using the thickest band and gradually progress to the smallest band. And it took me 3 months of consistent training to be able to go from 0 to do my first bodyweight pull-up. That's quite some time to break from 0 to 1, right? I'm pretty much sure that most people simply don't have this patience for this kind of boring stuff, which probably explains why people keep shying away from the great pull-up. But is it worth it taking the time to properly learn how to do pull-ups? Absolutely. As I mentioned in my previous episode, hacking into the ultimate hypertrophy code, beginner phase, pull-up training was my top priority at my beginner phase, and I credited the bulk of my beginner phase success to this particular exercise. Apart from development of the most quintessential bodybuilding muscle of the whole body, pull-ups have also many other benefits. Number 1, they're safe with unlimited loading potential. I've never seen anybody acutely injured doing pull-ups. It is almost a mission impossible. It can be a bodyweight exercise, which is already difficult enough for most people. But it can also be a loaded exercise. Just strap some plates around your waist if you want to up the challenge. Number 2, they generate very little fatigue. Although pull-ups are very hard to do, you definitely can do high volume of them and don't accumulate so much fatigue. Number 3, they cause much less joint pain. If you always do your pull-ups with a straight bar and overhand, this may be a concern as you may accumulate quite some shoulder internal rotation. However, with a multi-grip pull-up bar, you can switch between overhand, underhand, neutral, 45-degree rotated, and there will be much less joint pain. Number 4, perhaps the most important point. They directly address your muscle imbalances. As I mentioned in my previous episode, training like Arnold is killing your gains. A kyphotic posture is the instant confidence killer and the precursor to shoulder pains. And the pull-ups are directly addressing the kyphotic posture by strengthening your whole back muscle. In fact, you might call pull-up the leafy greens of lifting, according to the article on T-lation. Take your pull-ups to the next level, and I totally agree with this statement. The importance of pull-ups can never be underestimated. They're the king of upper body exercises and top my list of recommended exercises. Number 2, trap bar deadlift. Following the gist of addressing the muscle imbalance and combating kyphosis, you want to develop or even overdevelop your posterior chain muscles to pull your posture back and stand straight. Another great exercise for this purpose is undoubtedly the deadlift. It trains your whole posterior chain muscle, not just your whole back, but your glutes, hamstrings as well, which are two critically important but, again, sadly ignored muscles. While I think traditional barbell deadlift is a phenomenal exercise, it does have a few drawbacks. Number 1, as the center of gravity is in front of you, barbell deadlift demands higher shoulder stability to keep your back straight. You're more likely to round your back and sustain an injury. Number 2, you're internally rotating your shoulders when doing the barbell deadlift. As there are already too many daily activities that internally rotate your shoulders, adding more internal rotation to your shoulders will eventually cause shoulder pain. Number 3, it does not transfer much utility to daily activities. You rarely pull something heavy in front of you. Just imagine carrying 2 buckets of water or 2 suitcases. Are they in front of you or beside you? Case in point. Based on above drawbacks, I would recommend trap bar deadlift for most people, as it does have a few good points compared to the traditional barbell version. Number 1, as you step inside the trap bar, you become the center of gravity. You are less likely to round your back because of the gravitational pull, or twist your torso because of uneven weight distribution, therefore much less likely to be injured. Number 2, your shoulders are in a neutral position, which provides the strongest stability and adds no insult to already excessive internal rotation activities. Number 3, it transfers quite a lot of utility to daily activities. Remember carrying 2 buckets of water or 2 suitcases last time? Beside you, right? Case in point. So unless you're a competitive powerlifter or a die-hard barbell traditionalist, trap bar deadlift is much more suitable for bodybuilding purposes. Alright guys, as you can see, I'm already dragging this video too long and making you want to all fall asleep. It is high time to wrap this part 1 up. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in part 2. Peace out.